Oppenheimer is officially the highest grossing biopic film and the failure of sequels in the box office. Let's get into it. Hey, what's good you guys? My name is K.V Productions and I talk about entertainment. Now let's get straight into this video. Let's look at the top 10 box office of the last weekend. And number 1 we have The Nun 2, a horror film. Remember in the intro I talked something about the failure of sequels in terms of box office. Now this film didn't exactly fail. I mean, for its budget it's doing really well. But here's the problem. Let's compare with the first film. It lost about half its audience compared to the first film in the opening weekend. And this film, the sequel, is not going to do as well as the first film. However, it's still doing really well for its budget. I think this is what Hollywood should do more of. Low budget films so that you can make more profit out of them. You don't need to make films with very high budgets anymore. Especially now with the strikes going on, I would highly recommend Hollywood to make low budget films because it's easier to make profits. The strikes are really affecting your films, as we can see in Blue Beetle. So please make more low budget films and you might survive this ordeal of the strike. And seriously, pay your workers. So pay your writers and your actors properly. That is the most crucial thing when it comes to the strike. Number 2, A Haunting in Venice. Now I made a review of this film recently on my channel, a non-spoiler review. Go check it out if you're interested. The budget of this film is $60 million and the box office is not looking too good. And I think it is due to the fact that the previous 2 films, Murder on the Orient Express as well as Death on the Nile, weren't so good compared to this film. So the audience expectation into this film was really low, and that's probably why the first 2 films really pulled this film down. However, the first film did make a lot of profit, I'll give it credit for that. But the second film flopped. Actually, it couldn't even do half its budget. It couldn't even come close to half its budget. That's really bad. That's awful. And this film has an opening weekend close to the first film. So let's hope that this film does a bit better. And if it does the same amount as Death on the Nile, this film will at least break even. And another thing I want to talk about was streaming. I think a lot of people actually wait for this. I think a lot of people are actually waiting for this film to come onto streaming platforms. And that's probably another reason as to why I think not many people are going to watch this film. I think people just don't want to go out and waste a lot of money in the theaters to watch this film. They're just waiting for it to come on streaming at this point. The Equalizer Part 3, I mean, it's doing fine for its budget. I think it's very, very close to breaking even. Okay, this is how I look at breaking even. Okay, if it's a small budget film and it earns 2 times its budget, I will consider it as breaking even. However, if it's like costing $200 million, a big budget film, I would say that it needs to make at least $500 million to break even, like 2.5 times its budget. That's how I look at things, and that's how I'm looking here as well. So $70 million budget, 2.5 times its budget, do the math. That's the amount of money that I believe it needs to make that profit. I compared it to the predecessors, and I don't know if it will come as close to Equalizer Part 2 or not, because this film does not seem to be doing that well. Like, the opening weekend was strong, alright? The opening weekend was really strong for this film. However, the drops have been really big for this film as well. So I don't think it will come close to 190 million, which is what the Equalizer Part 2 did with a lower budget. So let's at least hope this film breaks even for Denzel Washington. Once again, failure of sequels. My Big Fat Greek Wedding Part 3. Low budget film is doing quite well for its budget. It's not doing as close to how well the first one did, and I don't think it's doing as well as how the second one did. But it's still doing quite well. At this point, Hollywood is just pushing too much sequels. Don't you feel the same way? Don't you feel that way? I mean, I feel that they're pushing too much sequels just to make money. This film, like, there were 3 sequels that I've already mentioned. The Nun Part 2, Equalizer Part 3, and now this one, My Big Fat Greek Wedding Part 3. And none of these films did as well as the first films have done, but they are still making a lot of money. And that's what I think Hollywood is going for right now, especially with the strikes. I think I wouldn't blame them, but still, it's quite lazy at this point. People want something new, and that's exactly why you pay your writers, Hollywood. That's why you should pay your writers so that they will stop striking and they will start working, because you treat them nicely now. Number 5, Barbie, what can I say? This film has been breaking records here and there, and even recently took over Avengers Age of Ultron. Imagine a Barbie movie taking over an Avengers movie at the box office. That's insane. That's absolutely amazing. Also, it's the highest grossing film of 2023. It beat out Super Mario Bros. Movie. Sorry, Super Mario Bros. Movie, you had your time to shine, but now it's time for Barbie. Number 6, Jawan, the latest Indian film from Atli. I can't tell how well this film is doing. I mean, I think for its budget, it's doing really well, because I don't think the budget of this film is as close or nearly as close to these other Hollywood films, but excellent in the US compared to the other Indian films. Oppenheimer. Now it's the highest grossing biopic film, and you know what's interesting? This film, as well as the previous highest grossing biopic film, Bohemian Rhapsody, both have Rami Malek. Is Rami Malek going to be the next big lucky charm of the biopic films? Could be, could not be. Let's see how it goes. Number 8 is Gran Turismo. It's still hanging in there. It still needs to make quite a bit more money to break even, but still, let's see how it goes. At this point, I mean, 60 million times 2.5, it's about 150 million. It has to make that amount, but it doesn't seem to be going that way as of now. But the drops have been really low for this film, so let's see how it goes. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Now, I spoke about this film previously. I talked about a trend in animation that I've been noticing recently, especially animated films that do very, very low at the opening weekend, but still are amazing films, like Puss in Boots 2: The Last Wish, $12 million in opening weekend. Second weekend, $16 million. It didn't drop at all, it increased, it rised. That's amazing. And we have Elemental, which broke even and even took over Puss in Boots 2: The Last Wish, surprisingly, at the box office, global box office. And now we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, which is having very low drops too. It's following this trend, and it's a very interesting trend to see in animated films now. And that's all I have for today's box office review. The failure of sequels. 3 sequels have failed at the box office. Okay, they haven't failed, they're doing quite well. They're making, I think some of them have broken even, and some are making profit already, but compared to their first films, they're making much less money. Oppenheimer is now the highest grossing biopic film. Barbie, highest grossing film of 2023 of this year. Those are the big news. And other than that, thanks for watching. This video has come to an end. If you like this video, click the like button if you want to see more, subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching. You guys are always the best.